Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our program. Mr. Mustafa Asim, an ophthalmic sales veteran, just came within a hair of losing his life in Afghanistan. The Taliban had a problem with him and his hair, and he just made it out alive. While ophthalmic personnel in Kabul are too afraid to talk, Mr. Asim will share his story right now. Mr. Asim is the closest link the ophthalmic world has to what's happening in Afghanistan now. But before we get to his story, I'd like to make a brief introduction of him. Mr. Asim is sales manager for Bitium, a wireless communications company, though he works in the medical department there. He was previously area sales manager for eye care for 3 years through April 2021. Mr. Asim, welcome to the program.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to become the voice of the voiceless, the people who are actually suffering back at my home country. Thank you very much for having me here.
Absolutely, Mr. Asim. And actually, I'm going to refer to you as Mustafa from now on, because this is going to be an intimate conversation indeed about what's happening in Afghanistan. So can you tell me, Mustafa, about how you happened to first travel to Afghanistan?
As actually, I'm originally from Afghanistan. I was born in Iran, Tehran, but my roots come back from Afghanistan. So that's where I call my home country. The reason that we traveled this time was because my wife's grandma was in a very bad health situation. And she requested and asked us that if we could come and visit her. So my wife went there because she's one of the sweetest grandchildren that she has. But then things started going sour. And it happened what happened to us. But what I want to say actually is this is a story. This is not a story. This is the reality, and it's not about me. It is about the people who are back there and are suffering. So I want to make sure that, as I was asked when I was leaving the country, some of my relatives, very close relatives, are working with the local media. And when they realize the situation is going bad, they ask me, please leave the country as soon as you can. And there is a reason, because once Taliban come in, our voice is going to be cut and we will not have a voice. Please be our voice to the outer world, that we will not be forgotten.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get the timetable straight first for viewers. So at least for this go around, when did you first go into Afghanistan and when did you make it out?
We left Helsinki on mid-June. It was, I believe, 15th of June. Yeah, 14th, 15th of June. And we came back at 19th of July.
Okay. Right. So it was just a couple months back. It seems you've made it out right before the Taliban made it into Kabul. So
actually, what happened, the city that I was staying, or my wife's grandma was, it was in the northern region. And the time that we arrived there, the whole city was already surrounded by Taliban. So when we started moving out, they just took over that city that I was. And that was just I was very fortunate that before they take over the city, I came out of it. And when we left to Kabul, it was about that Mazar Sharif was going down.
Wow. Well, it sounds like a very harrowing journey. Can you tell us also, in terms of the ophthalmic community there that you know of, since you worked in this industry not long ago, What's happening to them there?
Sure. Actually, the funny thing is that I had 2 days time in Kabul. And as a person, I mean, like people who know me, I'm a person that I need to go out and about and see. And what I decided, because one of the people who was waiting for me in Kabul is actually, it actually is, or should I say was, the distributor of eye care. And I asked him, could you take me around to see the clinics, to see the improvements or what we have achieved together? And he took me to some of the hospitals, and I had the chance to visit Dr. Ramu's clinic. And I believe Dr. Moyes briefly said about that. And I was sitting with him, and one of the comments that Dr. Ramus, who is one of the very well-respected ophthalmologists in Afghanistan, told me that he told me that it is great to see you here, but I'm afraid that your life might be in danger. And I asked why. And he said, you know, in this country where there is Taliban, and they will, I mean, like, it was not about that all of a sudden they came to Kabul and Kabul just fall. No, it was what he told me, said, Talibans are already in the Kabul. And they are looking for the people who are trying to make these people's life better. And it makes you a prime target because you are bringing a technology which makes people's life better. And he told me that, I'm afraid to say it, but please leave the country. And it was the same feeling among all the ophthalmologists, all the people who are working in the medical field, that if we are doing something which is about serving and servicing this nation, our life is in danger. So when I asked Dr. Ramus that, what is your plan? What he told me, he said, I will stay as long as I can because this is my duty. This is what I have decided to do. But at some point, I need to leave everything behind. And when we are talking about Dr. Ramus has a very, very nice complex where there are several doctors working. And he said that maybe at some point I need to just abandon everything and try to save my life.
Wow, that's harrowing indeed, both for you and the doctors of that country. I was reading in today's news that, at least the Taliban claim that there is perhaps an amnesty going around. But do you believe that could actually take place in Kabul?
What I want to say about Taliban and who they are, we should not be deceived by what we see from the media. First of all, Afghanistan is not just Kabul. Afghanistan has loads of country. And if Kabul, to the viewer's eye, look like a kind of a peaceful place, that nothing is happening and people are going around their lives, it's because the whole media is looking at Kabul. Whatever Taliban is saying, actually, I'm not trusting them. I'm not trusting anything. My close relatives who worked for the local media, they are actually, at the moment, they are on the run. And they're in a hideout. And they are going door to door looking for those people. And the funny thing is that, or not funny, the sad thing is that it's not just about them, it's about their family as well. So if Taliban is saying that we are not going to do anything, I will not believe a word what they are saying.
A few days back, I had the chance to interview Dr. Shabir Muez, who used to be the international liaison or representative of the Afghanistan Society of Ophthalmology. And he mentioned that there were 10 female ophthalmologists in Afghanistan. He did not mention what their fate was. Do you have any idea?
People who have the chance to leave the country, they have left. But then again, when we are talking about women, I mean, like, Taliban does not give them a right, let alone practicing their profession. let alone practicing their profession. So I'm just praying to God that they are safe and sound, or at least somewhere that Taliban's hands are quite far from them. And this is the problem, that the communication and the lines are broken. So why I am sitting here, I want to say that again, this is not about me, and I want to say what is happening in Afghanistan. And I want to make the world aware that that country is in danger, and we need to move quick to save people.
I believe you, indeed. We have a global ophthalmic audience here. Is there anything that you know of that the eye care industry can do to connect and provide some relief to Afghanistan, or is all hope lost?
What I can say, I mean, like, to the whole society, of course, I mean, like, to the ophthalmic society, the thing is that at this moment of the time, we need to make sure that people around the world, people who are in the power, hear my voice, hear which it's not about my voice. I have become the people who are back home. I've become their voice, that they are in danger. They need help, and they need a quick help. And I'm not talking about sending some humanitarian help there. It's about saving lives, because we are talking about like hours. Every hour things are changing. Every hour people are dying all around the country. For example, Dr. Husseini, one of the biggest ophthalmologists in Afghanistan, no one knows where he is. No one knows where he is. And if we lose him, that's a very big loss for the whole society. I'm not talking only about the Afghan society, I'm talking about the region, because he was a person who was lecturing in one of the leading universities of Iran.
Mustafa, take me back a little bit, back to before when all of this happened. I want to have a little better understanding of what the ophthalmic business was like in Afghanistan and whether there was promise. You mentioned there were distributors working in country. What was it like before?
What bothers me a lot, and actually, this week has been a very difficult week for me. I'm emotionally exhausted, because what happened. I mean, like, if we talk just about me, at that. For the past few years, I tried to help that community. I've tried to help that society to be able to read something. And what now I see, everything that I've built, everything that I worked for has been destroyed. Few years ago, I mean, like, people were, I mean, like, feeling that maybe there was a feel of optimism that things may go toward the better. And that's why the Ophthalmic Society started attending international congresses, where they started familiarizing themselves with today's technology, what was on offer. And based on their power and the need of the market, they started importing the products. So I would say that the Ophthalmic Society was kind of reaching the point that we could say they had enough technology. It was still a way to go. We were trying to get new cameras to the market, new fundus cameras, different kind of perimetry, but at this moment of the time, all hope is gone. Even like, I mean, like, if people are scared of their lives, I don't think they're thinking about how their eyes are doing.
And, to get an idea of the commercial groundwork that was laid, were there a number of distributors working within Afghanistan prior to this happening? Do you know how many, for example?
If you talk about eye care, with eye care, we had one distributor, but of course there were smaller distributors, all based in Afghanistan. And maybe I want to use this platform and thank eye care, because eye care is one of the reason that we had the up-to-date tonometry introduced to the whole Afghan market. And they did try to help them in different ways, being like in commercial way, marketing way. And yes, there were like other companies that they became interested and they got in touch with me. But I do not have a definitive number to give you. I mean, like Afghanistan and Afghan people, they would love to have a developed country. But the problem is that they do not get the chance to have it. Like, as I said, we've built something, but if you ask me, everything is gone. My distributor, who is a close friend of mine as well, is on the run, and I have no idea where he is and how he is doing. And it really kills me when I go, to be honest, I cannot even sleep at nights when I think that those people are out there, and I'm kind of feeling hopeless. I do not know how to help them, and maybe this is why I am here and using your respectful platform to make it known to the people that people are suffering, and we need to do something about it.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Shabir Muez, again, he is in Sydney now, but we learned that his family is still in Kabul, including his wife, his daughter, his extended family. And so, certainly the emotions were welling up with him the other day when we were discussing this. This is a topic that's very difficult it's difficult for the world, but it's difficult for those especially that are so close to it. Like yourself, we're so thankful for you to share your story, though.
I truly feel Dr. Moore's pain, because when he was crying, I was crying at the same time, because I could relate. I've lived it. I've seen it. I'm going through it, and this is something. I mean, like sometimes you hear or you see something in the TV, but when you are there, when you are living in that moment, when someone says something, you feel it deep down. And when Dr. Morse was telling about how he has lost basically everything that he worked for, he's just a drop from the sea what has happened to that country. And it just kills me. It just kills me, because my close relatives, they were studying to be doctors, and one of them was inspiring to be an ophthalmologist, because when I was talking about the eye care, when I was talking about the tonometry and what good thing, and now they are in danger of losing their lives. So it is, I mean, like, there are no words to describe what is happening in Afghanistan. You said something about my experience coming close to be dead, to be honest. And I always ask, what was the reason why my life was in danger? What have I done? What have I done? And that's the basic question that you will hear from the people of the society, from a student to the doctors. They all ask and say that, what have I done that I deserve to be dead? My guilt was that, first of all, I came from a Western country and I was trying to help my people to bring the technology that they deserve, that they can get better healthcare. And the other reason was that why my hair was dyed in a lighter color. And I mean, like, it is mind blowing that for I mean, like, I do not even have anything. I do not have a sin to be persecuted for that. So it's quite scary. And my story, how I got away, it was just with a lie. I lied to them, because when I came face to face, eye to eye with them, it was just a lie that just saved me. Because if they would have caught me on my lie, No one knows where I was today.
So you came face to face with the Taliban. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And and when they came face to face to you, they questioned you. It was about your hair.
The story was like this, that I heard that the security level are going down, and I was requested that please leave the country because you have the chance. You have the chance. You are holding a Finnish passport. Please leave the country and do not risk your life, because we as local, we do not have any other option. So I started my journey from a city in northern Afghanistan called Sheberghan toward Mazar Sharif. And of course, when you exit the gates of Sheberghan, you enter to the territory of Taliban, which was at that time controlled.
Yeah.
And till to the gate of Balkh, which is before you go to the Mazar Sharif, it's all controlled by them, and you can see the white flags flying there. And of course, they have their own checkpoints where they stop the cars for different reasons. So when I was in the taxi that was driving us from Sheberghan to Mazar Sharif, like I would say 25 minutes into our journey, and the whole journey is like, let's say 1 hour and 45 minutes. 25 minutes into our journey, we reached the checkpoints. So they stopped the taxi and they asked that, where are you heading to? And of course, the driver said that we are going toward Mazar Sharif. And because they know that the taxi driver, it's his job and he doesn't have anything else, so they didn't ask any other question. And they continued like this, that, so you are going to Mazar Sharif, and started questioning every single passenger in the car, that what is your profession? What is your profession? I was sitting at the back seat, so the first question went to the people who were in the front seat. One of them was shopkeeper, the other one was a imam in a mosque, and my relative was sitting next to me, and next to him was another guy. So they asked from my relative that, I mean, like, for certain reasons, I cannot say that what is our relation, because it will endanger his life, because he's one of the media people that was with me. So what he said, they said, what is your profession? At that moment of the time, they did not have a picture of him, so they could not arrest him or do anything. So he just said that I'm a student. Then they just turned to me and said, what is your profession? So I had about a millisecond to think, because if you start thinking about something which should be obvious, it will give them the red flag that there is something wrong. So in a millisecond, I just said, I'm a university student. And that moment was the time that I realized that maybe this is the end. Because the young Talib who was integrating us, said, he's a student, you are a student. And I start looking into my eyes and to my hair. And if he would have asked me to come out of the car, they would have taken me somewhere which I don't know. But I do not know what happened. They didn't even question the third person sitting at the back seat. He just slapped back of the car that they said, just continue your journey. So that was quite harrowing. And I know, and I saw from his eyes that he was kind of evaluating that this person, is he local or is he not? Why his hair color is like that? It was a very, very scary moment. But
And I have to say, Mustafa, you don't really look student age. I mean, not, sure, you could be an older student, I suppose, but I believe you're 34 years old.
yeah,
So that I bet that was a very questionable response indeed. And it seems you're lucky to have made it out of there with your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're quite right. I mean, like, the thing is that every single day you take a chance there. And there, like, I should have taken a chance, because if I would have said anything else, saying that I'm a salesperson or saying anything else, they would have questioned me more. For example, if I would have said I'm a shopkeeper, where is your shop? What do you sell? And of course, they have their intel inside the other city, which was not at that time under their control. And they could have easily realized that I'm not telling the truth. So I was supposed to tell a lie.
And what if you said you were a medical professional?
They would have asked me that, who you have treated. Have you helped anyone from the international community? And why? And your sentence is like death sentence.
So
It's so crazy. I mean, like, for such a small thing, you're gonna die.
now, is that because you would have been considered to have been working with the enemy, or they just have general disregard for medical professionals even now?
It's not about general disregard regarding the medical professions. It's like, when you say that you are doing something related to medical, the first question is that, have you treated anyone who is the enemy of ours? Because we cannot
Yes.
say enemy of a country. And of course, I mean, like, if you are a good doctor, you have been treating, because I know someone who is a very good ophthalmologist who has been working with the German camp in Kabul. Because he's good at what he does, he was asked to come and do the eye care of those people.
Well, it seems that Afghanistan is certainly in full control, or fully controlled by the Taliban now. And I suppose in some ways we can only hope, despite the issues of amnesty by the current government, I guess. Is it reasonable for us to try to be hopeful at all, to try to consider, well, maybe they were fighting the enemy then, quote unquote, but now perhaps, it's a shot in the dark, but perhaps there's some hope that, they've got to build their country, and medical professionals would be needed in that regard too. Any hope at all?
Actually, I don't want to say what I feel. I want to quote, because 2 days ago, I was working at the translator when one of the local newspaper was talking to the young journalist of my country, and they were asked the very same question, and the answer was so sad, that they said, with Taliban in power, there is no hope. The future that we see is just dark. We see darkness. And I do not trust a single word that Talibs are saying. I mean, like, they were fighting the enemies. They were killing Afghans. They were killing Afghans. I mean, like, how many of the international troops they faced? That's my question. And to them, Afghan people are still the enemy. They are killing at this moment, at this right moment that we are talking, they are killing people in Afghanistan. So where is the enemy this time? Who is the enemy? They are the enemy of the country. If you ask me, they are the enemy. So any future for of course we will need some kind of medical help there, but it's going to be quite primitive. We are going back in time, and in one of my interviews I said that we are living in a technology era, but my country is going back to the Stone Age, and this is something that is killing me.
Dr. Hudson Nakamura had a question just a moment ago. He asked whether the United Nations has any plans for any action in Afghanistan. And although I don't know what the answer is to that definitively, just searching online quickly, it looks like they've issued some UN reports. Here, Al Jazeera quotes them as saying, the Taliban is going house to house, searching for opponents and their families, according to a United Nations threat assessment report, deepening fears that Afghanistan's new rulers are planning revenge. After routing government forces and taking over Kabul on Sunday to end 20 years of war, the group had repeatedly promised a complete amnesty as part of what they called a well-crafted PR blitz. Women have been assured of their rights, and the Taliban will be, quote, positively different from their brutal 1996 to 2001 rule, but with thousands of people still trying to flee the capital on board evacuation flights. The intelligence report for the UN confirmed the fears of many. So it sounds, as you say, Mustafa, claims from the Taliban, but lots of contrary reports coming in.
I mean, like I was listening to the moment that they went live, and they were talking about amnesty, and we do not want to touch anyone. Everybody's safe. What was in my mind was that instead of forgiving people, you should go to every single Afghan and ask them for forgiveness. Ask them for forgiveness that you have destroyed their lives. You have made those people to live whatever they had. Dr. Moise left everything that he had, his family and everything. So I do not say, I mean, like they should ask for forgiveness. They cannot give amnesty to my people. So they are the people who should go and beg door to door that please forgive us that we did this to you. Please forgive us. I mean, like, I'm speechless. I'm very sorry. I'm speechless.
As you should be, as is extremely understandable. I can only fill some airspace by wondering, beyond the human element, what's the future of vision across the country? The future, you mentioned darkness, but I wonder if that's not only figurative but literal. What will happen to the eye care programs, the eye camps, the technology, the procedures, and human vision?
Yeah, you are right, actually. I mean, like, even though at that moment of the time, my relative said that the future is dark and black, actually, it might be so that literally it will happen. Because all the people who were doing some kind of work to save people's vision, they're fleeing the country. And actually, I do not blame them. I do not blame them. Because it's just between choosing to live and dying. And my people are being left behind because loads of mistakes happened. Many wrong decisions. People are going to lose their basic right, which is seeing the outside world. And maybe this is just tip of the iceberg, what is happening there.
Again, thinking about ophthalmology, even if, let's say, ophthalmologists were allowed to continue practicing, I'm sure a lot of those technologies come in from overseas, intraocular lenses, for one. So are there any local manufacturers of intraocular lenses in Afghanistan in case there's any medical practice that's able to continue?
The company that we were working through eye care was called Zarif Lens. And as you can hear from the name, it had the lens. They had the plan to start manufacturing them locally, but it was planned. And we do not have any local one. At this moment of the time, or like before, if people needed that, they went as medical tourists to the neighboring countries to get the treatment. But I don't know. Actually, at this moment of the time, even the borders are closed, and I think people have forgotten that if they had a eye disease, because they are running for their lives.
It just comes to mind, and it's hard to imagine, even to put it into words, but it almost sounds like there's the possibility that, eye care could almost be like in the old days, illegal abortions happening, something which is, I don't know if it would be prohibited to that level, but, it would be assumed that using foreign technology or liaising with foreigners, at least at this time, being that it's prohibited, it could become something like an illegality. No?
With these people, which I would call them brutes, you never know anything. You don't know, because all of a sudden they may come up with something like that we have our own doctors. Come and see them, and they do some kind of a treatment. And I don't know. I mean, like, anything is possible with those people, because they do not have an understanding what is technology, what is the real world.
I think that's really appropriate, or I would say really apropos what you just said. Not having an understanding of technology, perhaps that's the real difficulty here. Finding value in it, because what is medicine these days without technology?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I mean, like, what we are looking at this moment of the time is something that me personally, I was not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had hope. And that's what they have taken away from me and from my people.
Mustafa, how did you manage to get out of Afghanistan? Was it just a traditional flight? What happened there?
I took a flight from Mazar Sharif to Kabul, because I heard that there might be moments that they will close down the Mazar Sharif airport. So I flew out of there, and I was one of the lucky ones that I came out of the country in a traditional way, that I went to the airport, I did the check-in, I dropped my luggage, I had my boarding pass in my hand, and I boarded the plane. That was the way that I got. I mean, like, when I was coming out of the country, that was not a problem, because Taliban was not in control of Kabul. But this is not the story at this moment. No one can get out of that country. I mean, like, even if you go through the reports, people who have the papers and the possibility to leave the country, they cannot leave. And among those are a lot of professionals, a lot of ophthalmologists, a lot of people from the medical field. And one of the leading ophthalmologists in Afghanistan, who I am in direct contact, is facing the same problem. And he was asking me that if I know a way to get out of the country. And this is quite scary, because he is one of the doctors who was doing a charity work for people to save their vision. And now he is leaving the country.
Yeah. Mustafa, Afghanistan is a vast land, much of it rural. Are there any ways to cross the border, even if illegally, to get out, even if not by airport?
If you look at the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, that's overcrowded. People are trying to get out. But the thing is that, let's imagine they are getting out of the country, but still, what will happen to them? People who are leaving that country with nothing, among them, there are engineers, among them, there are doctors, among them are business people. And they will leave the country as nobody. And the problem is that that even though they are a doctor, but they have left all their certificates, everything that they could prove they are someone that they can help other places, they do not have it. So it means with what happened with Dr. Moez, he went to Australia and he was just doing one of the basic jobs that he could do. But hats off to him. Hats off to him. But that is the problem. And what I've heard, there have been gunshots heard at the borders as well. So it's not safe to go there. But at this moment, you need to take your chances. If you want to save, because we are talking about people saving their lives. And there was a discussion back here in Finland that we need to send some humanitarian help there. I mean, like, yes, it is good. Yes, it is good. I appreciate it. But if you're sending food and blankets and those things back there, it does not save people's lives. The danger is much, much bigger.
I'm sure so much of the eye care world right now, shares their hearts with the community there in Afghanistan. But as you say, there's little perhaps that can be done. What can be done? What can be done? Is it prayer? Is it, you mentioned food is not so needed because it's not really high up on the needed order right now. What can be done?
Of course, we can always pray. We can always hope. What I want the world and the international community to hear, I understand, that please open your eyes. Do not look at the crisis in Afghanistan as a crisis for a country, not even a crisis for a region. This is an international crisis. And sooner or later, it will be something in some level, in some way, we might be facing it in other places. So do something about it. And please at least save the people who are very vulnerable. I'm talking about medical people. I'm talking about journalists. I'm talking about women. I'm talking about the children whose future has been taken away from them. So this is my call for help, that please help those people. My relatives who are very young people, they are on the death row because they have worked with the media, because they have tried to show the true face of Talibs. So we need to help those people. And after we have saved people's lives, then we can start thinking what to do about this. Because the moment the cameras go off and we forget about Afghanistan and Kabul, the massacre gonna start.
Mustafa, I think you raised some excellent points, one of which is something that I take back, I would say, to my own life. When I first got in contact with Dr. Shabir Muiz, it was because I saw a Facebook post of his where he was kind of crying for help about this issue. And that prompted me to really understand more about this issue in Afghanistan, which I was not really that familiar with, and do an interview with him. Subsequently, you reached out to me, and we're doing an interview now. And more of this can continue. But it changed my view of, for example, ophthalmic coverage, because I find that in our eye care world, we are often covering, sort of the latest and greatest technology, which is needed, and important procedures, which is needed. But so much of that coverage is standardized across the world, and it's very suddenly, readily apparent that there are eye care stories which touch upon the hearts of nations worldwide, and more of this needs to come out. And perhaps by your thoughts here today, perhaps nothing, so sad to say, perhaps nothing can be done for Afghanistan at the moment, but perhaps somehow your message today can pay it forward to those other vulnerable nations where our eye care community can reach out to support, you know?
Of course, absolutely, absolutely. Like today is Saturday in Afghanistan, and today is the day that most of the eye surgeries are scheduled. I feel sad and devastated to know that those patients who were supposed to get their eye procedure done, they cannot do it because maybe the hospital is closed, maybe the doctor is on the run, maybe actually the patient is gone. And by meaning gone, I mean that they are not nowhere to be seen. And you are raising a very excellent point that, as I said, this is not about me, this is not about a nation, this is about the whole community, this is about the whole world. We shall not forget that even if we are feeling comfortable and safe, there are people out there that they are suffering. And again, I want to quote from something which during the interview that the other newspaper had with these young media people, they said, and I want to quote it the way they said it because I don't want to change the word. They said that we have a saying in Dari that you do not feel what the hungry person is going through if your stomach is already full.
And I believe at this time, if I'm not wrong, you're currently in Finland, right?
Yes, luckily I am in Finland, Helsinki, and I feel blessed. I feel blessed, but the problem is that my soul, my mind, my everything is back home. I'm living in Kabul, and every day I am suffering, I am crying, and I'm dying with my people.
Well, certainly the ophthalmic world hears you here. I hope your neighbors in Finland also hear you, and that somehow, some way, this issue becomes, well, it will be an issue for some time, but somehow attenuates. So, Mustafa Asim, it has been an honor to speak with you here today. Thank you for communicating from the eye world of Afghanistan to the rest of the world, and thank you for being on the program.
Thank you very much, Matt. First of all, thank you, Media Mice. Thank you for giving me this platform. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for letting me be the voice of the voiceless. It's been a pleasure being here. I'm hoping that at least to some extent I've conveyed the pain that my people are going through, the danger that the eye society is facing, and the pain that people are going through. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Mustafa, I hope we see each other again soon. All the best to your family and loved ones. And through the darkness, may you all shine.
Thank you very much. Have a brilliant rest of the day.
Be well. Thank you. And thanks to our viewers for joining the program. We'll hope to keep more of these up in the future. We'll see you next time.